Welcome to the Pest Empire Builder Podcast. On this episode, we're hanging out with Chad talking about CRMs, from note cards all the way to fully automated systems. You don't want to miss this episode. And welcome to the show. I'm so glad you tuned in today. Today I'm hanging out with my friend Chad. Chad, how you doing, man?
I am amazing, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, we're filming this in the springtime, and I know you're in Florida, so it's like always sunny, I think, there.
Dude, I just got hit with rain all day. I had to move all my routes.
Oh, man.
So yeah, now it's rainy season for us. So
it's rainy season for you guys. Okay, so yeah. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and which people would think is sunny and hot all the time, but we actually have all four seasons. So it's starting to warm up now. But our rainy season is in like kind of August-ish. And we call that our monsoon season here.
Yeah, ours starts now and then ends in fall. So it's rainy like for 6 to 8 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Miami.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So hot and muggy. Yeah.
Hot and muggy. A lot of humidity. Yeah. Humidity is literally 100% right now because it's raining.
Wow. Yeah, I live in the desert, so my rainy season is probably nothing compared to what you guys deal with.
No chance.
Right? Absolutely. But I'm going out to Miami here in a couple of months to actually go visit some friends and have a good time. So cool. Yeah, I'll be out there having
really fun. I love it.
It looks like a fun city to visit.
Place. I always miss home. I know I'm in the right spot.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool, man. All right, so how'd you get into pest control? Tell me the story.
Oh boy, so the story starts with my parents. Once upon a time, 1986, my dad went back to college when he was in his mid-30s. He got a degree in pest control technology and another degree in entomology, and he started a pest control business after he was working for Orkin. And he left there because what prompted his leave. I like to tell this story because he was working on selling like a big fume job, and it took him like a year to close it. He finally closed it and they ended up giving, this is no shade at Orkin, you guys are cool, but they ended up giving my dad's commission to like another sales guy. And so he was like, you know what, forget that. If I'm going to work as hard as I am for Orkin, I'm just going to go off and do my own thing. So he went to school, got his degrees, started the business with my mom. And I have vivid memories as a child of my mom and my aunt sitting at the dining room table with the yellow pages and the white pages, just cold calling businesses and homes, just trying to get the thing going, selling service for like $15. And so they never really intended on building a big business. They just wanted to have it to supplement the family's income. So I think the best year they ever did was like $75,000 or $80,000 with my dad and his part-time employee. And my parents both had full-time jobs. So my mom would get home from work and she would hit the phones, get all of my dad's jobs scheduled for when he would get home from work and over the weekend. And then he would go and run his routes, and he did everything. He did fume, he did wildlife stuff, did lawn and ornamental, general pest, whatever he could, honestly. And so they got it kind of stable with enough recurring business to just, do what they wanted it to do, bring enough money to supplement the family. And that was kind of it until my brother then jumped in. And this must have been like 16 years ago. Okay. My brother decided that after, he was very entrepreneurial out of college, and he was starting a lot of businesses and trying a lot of things, but he knew that he needed something solid to have like a recurring revenue come in to pay the bills. So he started a route where he was in Boca, and he had built a website for my parents' company at the time. And
what year is that?
And it had to have been like 15 years ago.
Okay. All right. So the websites were starting to, 15 years ago.
Yeah. So he built a website just for online presence, and it started getting busier. And I was in college still at that point, like in my fourth year. And my brother was like, look, I need help. Like, we're getting busy. So I was like, you know what, let me just jump out of school. I was kind of undecided on what I wanted to do. Anyway, I changed my major a bunch of times, and ultimately, like, I was finishing up a secondary biology education degree to teach high school biology. And I was like, you know what, I'm actually probably never going to be a teacher because it was a lot of work and the pay wasn't that great. So
Mm-hmm.
I figured, let me just go help my brother and we'll grow this business and it'll be cool. I know it. I've been doing it since I was a kid.
Right.
And so shortly after that, I'd say probably like a year and a half later, we were trying to streamline everything. And we had a software on the computer that it was not cloud-based. And I remember we had a hurricane and we ended up losing like all of our data. We had no access to it because we had no power. So we had all of our paper invoices, thankfully. But it was like a glorified Excel spreadsheet. It was kind of clunky. It didn't really do there were no automations. So my brother went on
still, that's a big upgrade from where like your parents started, right?
My mom literally had a plastic box of index cards sitting on the desk with the customer's name, their address, and like what they were buying and all of the dates for when service was due. And she would highlight when they paid. And that was it. So
that was the CRM back then.
Yeah, we went.
It was a plastic box with note cards in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I still remember what it looks like. We may still even have it. It would be cool if I could find it.
That would be cool.
But anyway, it was that. So, and then the software that we're using just wasn't great. So my brother decided, I have an idea for an app. And initially it was really for scheduling and like routing. He wanted an app for that. He quickly realized that he wanted it to do a lot more. He figured, if I'm going to go on and build this thing, I want it to do as much as I can for the business. And so that's how GorillaDesk started. And I continued running the pest control company while my brother was developing GorillaDesk.
Okay.
And I decided it was
your
interesting.
brother started GorillaDesk.
Yeah. Yep.
Out of a need to like have his own business. I'm going to try to get my own business more organized.
And he's super entrepreneurial. And so he tried anything. He had an idea, he would see the idea through to the end. And then if it didn't work out the way he wanted, he was on to the next thing. Yeah. So like his 10th idea was probably GorillaDesk at that point. He'd been doing a bunch of other stuff and he's been doing that since. I think we're in our 14th year at GorillaDesk and we have well over 7,000 companies using the platform at this point in all different industries. I mean, mainly we were targeting pest control because that's what we knew, but we have a bunch of service businesses, home inspectors, we have landscaping companies, cleaning companies, trash bin cleaning companies, pool companies, like anyone that's got a truck on the road running a route, they could use GorillaDesk to run the operations. Since then, I mean, I was kind of I was at a weird transition point for a little bit because I had jumped in to the pest control company thinking that this was going to be something my brother and I did. Yeah. And then he kind of veered and I found myself with the business now not really knowing what I wanted to do. Right. So I went through like a couple years of, I guess, discovery of like, okay, if I'm going to keep this, what do I want to do with it? And so ultimately I ended up deciding that I wanted to build it as a lifestyle business where I had a really good team and they were able to run and execute the day-to-day with minimal effort on my part. Like I wanted to have my complete free time. So I started that journey, and I didn't really know much about business. So I joined the Entrepreneurs Organization, and that's where I gathered a lot of my, I guess, business knowledge, learning about how to manage people, strategize, execute on strategy, learning about a P&L and how to use a P&L, like literally everything. I didn't know anything other than how to do pest control.
Well, yeah, you know how to go out on the field and take care of business, but yeah, that's how, and that story is crazy because that's how a lot of guys get into it. It's like, well, I'm really good at whatever it might be. I'm good at plumbing. I'm good at electrical. I'm good at taking care of a swimming pool. I'm good at mowing grass and cutting, trimming it up a yard and keeping maintenance on a yard. And they're a good technician, but they don't know how to run the business side of it. Yep. And a lot of times it's like they're working for somebody and they're realizing like they're not being valued correctly, or like in your dad's case, you're like, wait a minute, like this isn't cool. Like I'm not getting treated right. And so then eventually after enough of that, most of these technicians will be like, yeah, I'm going to go give this a shot on my own. And then you realize, oh shoot, there's like a whole lot more to running a business.
A whole nother world.
Yeah. It's I currently own a home inspection company, and there's about 12 things that have to happen in this business for it to run successfully. One of them is going out and like doing an inspection and writing a report. There's like 11 other things that have to happen that aren't home inspector skills. They're business ownership skills that you have to master and figure out how to do. I mean, you know, if you're good at the technician, but you still got to get marketing, you need sales, you got to get growth, you got to retain your existing client base, that entire marketing growth area of like retention and acquisition. And then you got to have finances,
people.
Managing people and teams and you know, and taxes and, you know, all this stuff. It just adds up on and on and on and on and on. And those skills are phenomenal skills. You got to have them to run a business. But yeah, like a typical technician, you don't normally get trained in that way. Even if you go to school to be in pest control, even if you go to school to be a home inspector or even a plumber or HVAC. And in fact, most industries are that way. Lawyers, you go to school they teach you how to practice law, kind of. They teach you the law, that's for sure. But they don't teach you how to run a law office.
I was just going to say, I had a conversation with my dentist the other day. And she's great at being a dentist, but she's like, you know, right now she's in the middle of transitioning all of her paper files of all of her clients forever, like into a digital system. And she's freaking out. You know, she's having to manage employees. She's having to figure out how to follow up with people and bring people in for cleanings and treatment and stuff. And
they don't teach you that in dental school. They teach you about the tooth and how to manage that and have someone's mouth and the oral hygiene and all the other stuff, but they don't teach you how to run the business. And so many business owners today are in that place where they know how to do the thing, but they don't know how to run the business.
Yeah, which is crucial, because if you end up not figuring out the business part, these are the saddest calls I have with people are the guys that have been at it like 30 plus years and they want to slow down, but they didn't set the business up in a way to exit or pass on.
Yes.
And now they're stuck and they don't have energy to put in the work that is required to restructure it. And so they end up exiting for like a fraction of what they could have gotten if they did everything right. You know, and there is a right and a wrong way to run a business.
Yep.
So
there absolutely is. And right. And even people that I've talked to that go to business school, I've had friends of mine that graduate with a degree in business. And so I had one of them that was like, hey, will you show me how you run your business? And I was like, yeah, sure. And there's so much that he didn't know. And he even got a degree in business. And so, you know, how else are you supposed to learn this stuff? I think you got to do it. I think there's mentorship. I think you learn through the school of hard knocks on how to like get through some of these things and how do you manage people and how do you deal with that? And like, that's a whole like dynamic there that a lot of people don't fully understand.
You do it and you learn the hard way, making a lot of mistakes and spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
But eventually you figure it out, you know, if you can get through it. You have to be able to stomach everything that comes with running the business. But I do think if you can persevere, it's worth it.
It is worth it. And here's my shameless plug for Pest Empire Builder, because we're in a mastermind, Pest Empire Builder, that is the conversations that we're having all the time inside of the organization. Our mastermind group doesn't talk about which chemicals to use. We're not talking about how the best to apply anything or how to fumigate or how to do the field technician. 99% of what we're talking about is how do you run the actual business? Like, how do you run the marketing? How should your numbers look? What are the right percentages? Like, what percentage of your budget should be in operations? What percentage of your budget should be in growth? How much percentage of profit should you as the owner be having? And then how do you structure your business in the right way? That's why joining a mastermind group, even if it's not ours, not even if it's not Pest Empire Builder, finding a mastermind group that can help you get your stuff in line. And then you're with your whole group bunch of people who are also trying to get to that same place. And then now you're having these healthy conversations that are really elevating your business to the next level. I don't know how else you're supposed to learn it. I think
trial by fire.
But yeah, trial by fire. But you know, I think finding mentors in the space, like in mastermind groups, help a lot. Because then you get to shave some time off. You don't have to make all the mistakes. Like, I haven't made all the mistakes because I'm surrounded with people that said, hey, Matt, watch out for this in this next season of growth. thanks, appreciate that, And now I'm learning from other people that made those mistakes. And so I think finding yourself, no matter what industry you're in, find a mastermind group that works for your industry that you can get plugged into, because you will cut time off of your journey and cut pain out of it, and expensive pain out of it.
And at the very least, like, Facebook's been great for that too, because there are pages and groups with people that are willing, that are open books, So if you can't afford to join a group or have a mentor, at least be in a community where you can ask questions, get information from people that are doing what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And ignore the haters in those groups too.
Yeah.
There's people in there like, you're an idiot, you shouldn't even be in business. And you're just like, bro, I'm trying to figure it out.
That's what I'm here for, man. Just help me.
That's what I'm here for. Don't be a hater. There's so many haters in those groups, on the Facebook groups. But join that. Even if you can't afford the mastermind groups that are out there. Yeah. That's free. That's
help.
free.
That's the thing though, is like, you're not an island, right? There are people around you doing the same thing. And there are people that are willing to help if you reach out to them. I help guys that are in my backyard, like technically competitors of mine, but I care more about fast tracking people's success and helping them avoid the pains that I've had. Some of them have been horrible, and just, there's enough work for everyone out here too.
Yeah, there really is. There's plenty of work out there.
Yeah.
And if sometimes it's weird how human nature is to want to like protect what we know and not share the information, like we have discovered some unique secret that nobody else has ever discovered or something, The reality is like a lot of people before us have figured this out.
Yeah, I'd rather be helpful and build strong relationships with people.
Absolutely.
That's fun for me. And that's also part of my personality.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I want to elevate the industry. Like if you elevate in the industry, it helps everybody, including yourself.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So your mom's got your note cards. You switch over. Now your brother starts GorillaDesk. Mm-hmm. You're running your company and you're deciding you want to make this like more of a lifestyle company.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going for you?
It's great. Well, yeah, it's great. Because now, the problem I ended up facing was that I didn't plan for after I achieved the goal of building the business how I wanted. And that I ended up with a ton of free time, and then I had no idea what to do. And so what's been great lately is now that I'm working full-time in GorillaDesk, I have like a purpose again. But there were 5 years where I was just kind of chilling, like not really knowing what to do. The business was running itself. I had this free time, and it was honestly kind of challenging for me, like mentally, because I like to do stuff. I like to feel helpful. I like to be involved in things, and the business didn't need me. So I was coming around and like, what are you doing here? Like, we're good. So
I hit that with my business too. Yeah. That's a weird place to be.
But it was cool. It was still cool to build it to that, and now I'm rebuilding it again to grow it more, because I have energy now to do it, and I have another vision for what I want. I want to be able to provide my employees with a lot more. Yeah. I have this like idea of, what if I could create a pest control company that had the highest paying technicians with the best benefits, like in all of Florida or maybe even the US. Like, what would that look like? Having 6-figure salaries for pest techs. They would probably never want to leave. And if the job is made super simple and efficient for them, like, and they do a good job, they should want to be here forever, right? And that was one of the issues with building a lifestyle business. Is churning employees is difficult, because when it happens, you get pulled back in, right? So I'm trying to build a model that is like, churn proof. Like when you're employed here, you're gonna love it. You're gonna want to stay here forever. I know that's like idealistic, but still, to be able to provide as much as possible for the team is a fun goal for me to have. So I'm on that journey now.
Yeah, no, that's a great place to be. Yeah, it's with my home inspection business, I built it up to that place where it doesn't really need me for much of the daily operation side of it. And it's grown now to the place where, that there's not a lot for me to do. And so, but now I did the same thing. I had about 3 years where I didn't have to do much. And then I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I was like, no, I need a new vision. And so now I have it, and we're pushing forward on this new growth thing.
And it's fun now too, because now you're better equipped with all of the knowledge and experience you had getting it to the point you got it to. And now you're well connected with a bunch of people that help you like take it to the next level. So it shouldn't feel as daunting as it did in the beginning when you were starting from scratch, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I started the inspection. I've owned 10 different companies, but this one's been a fun one to own, and it's done really well. But I started this inspection business with the goal of I just do like 2 or 3 a week, supplement my income, a simple thing. And it just took off so quickly that, and then I built it up. And then, some of my friends, for a while there, my friends were joking around that I was retired. They're like, what are you, like, retired?
Mine too.
They're like, what do you do?
I was like 30 years old, and all my friends are going in at their 9 to 5s, and I'm sitting at home like by myself. Can't hang out with anybody because everyone's busy.
Right.
So I'm glad I'm working again, to be honest.
So I was doing the same thing, but then I found a bunch of other dudes that were in a similar boat to me. And so they all own it's so dangerous, man. Cause like I'm older than most of them, but they're all in their 30s and they've got that time freedom down, and, and I'm in my 40s, but like all the time it's like, I get a text message. You want to play golf? When? Yeah. How about now? Sure. And we would just go play golf and go screw around, and then we'd travel and go do fun things. And I had this really phenomenal lifestyle. And but then eventually it's like, okay, I've got this itch. I got to find some way to be more productive, which is why I run podcasts, and I do it for free. I run a couple of different podcasts. I do it for free. It's just fun for me. And it's just something that can occupy my time. And it's something I feel like I can help people with. I mean, there's people listening today that I hope will learn something that they can implement, along the way. And I think building that up where you have the time freedom and financial freedom from owning a business, to me, that was the dream.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of everyone's dream to an extent, right? Is to like, that's the whole point. We go into business for ourselves. We want the business to serve us and our lifestyle. But a lot of people get trapped. They end up working really hard for way too long, and they never get to reap the benefits of what could have been.
Yeah, they get stuck as a business doer and not the business owner. And it gets flipped. Like, you start thinking, I'm going to own this business, but then along the way you realize this business is owning me, and I'm a slave to this thing that I've created. And at least my employees get to clock out and go home. I don't get to do that. And this thing like ends up owning you. And you have to find a way to turn that and develop it into you own the business, and the business runs really without you. And that it comes through clearly defined roles with your team, building an organizational chart that actually makes sense, making sure everybody is compensated fairly, or maybe even better than fairly. If your employees have like roles that are well defined and they're getting compensated well, they end up loving their job, especially if they have a good work-life balance, and then it's like, you create this great environment that allows them to be successful in life with what they're doing. And then they want to stay and they love what they're doing. Yeah. And I think success
sounds easy.
So easy.
Yeah. Just make it awesome for them, and then you're good.
Yeah. And then make it awesome for you too, Yeah. I think success is your business doing for you what you want it to do for you?
Yeah.
And so you have a vision in your mind of what you want, and if it's like, well, I want to make $1 million a year in profit. Cool. Like, what's the path to get there? Or some people like, I just want to make 200 grand a year in profit and I'm happy. 200 grand a year. And I want to work 15 hours a week. Awesome. And once you kind of figure out what do I want my business to do for me, and then it's like, okay, now you have something to work with and build out a framework. And then you get your business built like you did, like a lifestyle business.
Yeah. Not having a goal and like the lack of clarity around where you want to end up is extremely dangerous, because I feel like you get busy getting busy, and then you're not really working toward the thing that you're in the back of your mind hoping ends up happening. But if you like make it a concrete goal and then figure out, okay, well, if I want to make this much, I need to bring on this many customers that pay me this amount of money. And then you can start tracking your progress getting there. But that's missing with a lot of people. And those are the people that end up getting stuck for a long time. And having clarity around the goal is like super, super important.
Yeah. And a lot of people get lost. What do you think they get lost on? Where do they get stuck?
They probably get stuck on all the things they're not comfortable with, because like you mentioned earlier, a a lot of people go from being in the field and that's their only responsibility to then having to deal with everything. And it's in our nature to avoid things that we're uncomfortable with or lack knowledge around. And a lot of those things, when you become the owner, are absolutely fundamental. And, I do a lot of calls with people too. And the thing outside of like the clear goal that is really dangerous that I'm finding that's also really common is that people don't really understand and use a P&L, right? They use their bank account as a gauge for how well they're doing, and they're not really seeing how the money's flowing through the business. And so because they know that they don't really have a good grip on the finances, they don't take action on things when they should because they're unsure if they can afford to do the thing. And sometimes they'll make the mistake where they do the thing, but then they can't afford it and then they end up finding out later, So I think people just get hung up on all the stuff they're not comfortable and they don't take the time to like learn those things. And then you end up just sitting where you're comfortable and you can't really expand that way.
Yeah.
I think. What do you think? What's your answer to that?
No, I think that's great. I think people get stuck in comfort zones. I also think there's a trap you fall into, like nobody else can do this as good as I'm doing it. And so
I got over that real quick.
Yeah. And I think that's a trap a lot of people fall into as well. And whatever it is your specialty is, right? Whether it's maybe you're good at selling, maybe as a pest control owner, you love knocking the doors or making the phone calls, or the marketing and sales is what you love. And so you don't want to give that up. Yeah. Because, nobody can do it as good as me.
What do you say to those people?
Yeah. Or get stuck. Yeah. So you have to decide, do you want to keep doing that task, whatever it is that you like doing? Or do you want to grow the business to the clear goal like that you're talking about? Or do you want, like, what do you want? Do you want the thing that you're dealing with today, or do you want the end result of where you're at? Here's what I found is I was a good home inspector, but I was a great home inspector. We have excellent home inspectors now. And the quality of work that gets done now in my business is way higher than when I was doing the stuff in the field. And what happened is I hired guys and trained them up to my level. I got them close to where I was at, and they're never going to be right where you're at. You can only get them about 80% of where you are. And then once you set them free and you give them both the authority and the responsibility to manage this thing, you got to give them some space and let them kind of figure it out. Most of the time that they're figure it out, they do it better than you. It takes a little bit of time, but there's that little gap between the 80% of where and the 100%. And that's where that's when you're throwing the little birdie out of the nest and letting it fly, and you're watching it fall. You're like, oh, this thing, is this guy going to make it? I don't know. Is this bird going to hit the ground and die? And then somewhere along the way, they figure out how to pop open their wings and they make it happen.
Yeah.
There's that trust moment that's really, really difficult to do in the beginning. And a lot of business owners get stuck there because they won't let their people really fly, or they want to give them a mismatch of responsibility and authority. So they want to say, I want to make you responsible for these outcomes, but I'm not going to give you the authority that needed in order to get those outcomes done, which means every time that employee runs into a bump, they have to turn around and go, hey boss, what should I do here? Hey boss, what should I do here? And so you end up setting up a micromanaging environment,
and you're bottlenecking.
You bottleneck the whole thing. Yeah. So that's another one too, where guys that get stuck, I think they get stuck in the bottleneck, and they don't give the people the authority to be able to make the decisions without you. And one of the ways I found that helps is if they ask a decision, they ask me a question. One of the things that really helps is to ask it back.
Answers.
Yeah. It's like, what do you like? Can you give me a couple of options? What do you think are the best options out there right now? Like I have an idea in my head, but I want to see what's in your head. Like, what are some of the best options? And I've learned that a lot of times I'll bring options that I hadn't thought of yet. And so there's really good things there. And then sometimes they'll bring the exact option that you were thinking as the boss. Here's the trick. Don't say, you know what? That's exactly what I was thinking. We should do that. Don't tell them that you were even thinking that. You just tell them, like, that's a really good idea. I like the way you're thinking about that. I think you should make that happen. And then they leave the room thinking that it was their idea. And it was their idea, but don't steal the credit. Give them the credit for the idea and be like, that's brilliant. I think that's exactly what we should do. And then they go, okay. He's like, go let me know how it works out. And then you let them go and do it. And then they come back. They're like, boss, it worked out great. And it's like, dude, you're awesome.
That's the
high
way
five.
Now we do that every time.
Yeah, do it that way every time. That works. Yeah. But then because they came up with the idea, they take more ownership of it. And so now so then when they got into a bottleneck, you train your people whenever they run up against a wall, they're not sure what to do. They come to you. You tell them, like, give me your top ideas. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And every time that's what I say now. It's like, well, what do you think? And then I was like, ooh, that's the one. I love that. Why don't you make that happen? And because it's their idea, they run with it. Whereas if you, the boss, always spoon feed them everything, you're like that mama bird. You're chewing up the food and puking it in their mouth so they can eat. At some point, you got to stop spoon feeding your employees and let them
let them do their job.
Let them do their job.
Let them do their job.
Yeah. And so I think that's another bottleneck I see too, is people getting stuck there. And so they don't want to hand it off. And then if they think, if I let go of all this authority, then what's my job going to be? I was like, you're the owner, bro.
Make sure the ship doesn't sink,
Absolutely. Yeah. I use this analogy with my team all the time, is that the business is like a tree. And, we all are different. You guys are all different branches of that tree, and there's different fruit coming off of this tree. And my job as the owner is to make sure that this tree is as healthy as possible on a grand ecosystem level, and each of you are carrying different branches of the tree, that you're making sure those branches are healthy, but I'm making sure the roots are healthy, that the whole environment is healthy for this tree. And if the tree is healthy, it produces a lot of fruit, and all of us have a lot of fruit to eat. I got fruit for my family, you have fruit for your family, and we all get to eat off of this tree, And so if I see something in the tree that's not healthy, like, I'm going to call it out, and so, yeah. And well, sometimes, yes. Yeah. But like, I'm going to call it out, and we're going to try to bring it back to health, and the whole team gets it. And so at the end of the year, I always do like we do a few gatherings a year, but at the end of the year, I do kind of a State of the Union address on, like, here's what the company did this year. Here's where we're at, and I always talk about how healthy the tree is, and what different things that are going on. And I think creating it where we all understand, like, the health of the tree is important, and making sure the team understands that, like, we're all in this together. We're eating off the same tree. So we have to make sure that we're all healthy, and this whole thing is staying healthy.
Yeah. Cool. I like your tree.
Yeah. I always have little silly analogies I try to use.
Knowledge and skills are transferable,
Yeah, they are. And you can teach and train your people to run your business for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially if you can get them bought in on things, and like, yeah. So I think holding all the authority and giving responsibility is a bottleneck I see a lot of. So you got to be able to get that authority off of your plate too.
It was hard for me in the beginning. Once you do it, you feel a lot lighter. Like, you feel like you can start working on other things, it frees you up. I think it's taking that initial step of, like, relinquishing a little bit of control, realize it's once you see it work out, you're like, okay, I can start delegating this now and delegating that. And then you end up wanting to delegate everything and not do anything anymore. It's kind of what happened.
It gets addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then if you're designing your business, so I heard you say this earlier, and I love it. It's like, you designed your business from the beginning of, like, you're like, I want this to be able to be sellable. Like, I want this to run without me. And I have, if you have the exit in mind of, like, what this is going to look like at the end, then you can build it the right way. And if it's hard to sell a business if the owner is doing a lot of the daily tasks, because you're essentially selling a job. And the people who have the money to buy a business, they're not looking to buy a job. They're looking to buy a business that runs on its own. And your business is worth so much more if you are not in the daily grind of everything. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you got there. And then you started working at GorillaDesk with your brother. And how's that going? I know you have, like, a bunch of customers now.
It's really fun. Yeah. But now I'm working on both things simultaneously, right? Like, okay. I didn't jump into GorillaDesk at the point where I was just, like, kind of chilling with the pest control company. Like, I had decided that I wanted to rebuild the pest control company, and then I started doing GorillaDesk too. So I've been doing both at the same time. So it's been a little bit chaotic, but still really energizing, because I went from doing nothing to, like, doing a lot and feeling really useful, having a lot of really amazing conversations with people. So it's been really fun. So I'll do my GorillaDesk audits all day long, or since the beginning of the year, I've been auditing the GorillaDesk users' accounts to see what features they're using or not, help them optimize the system for their business. Sometimes we get into actual business stuff with them, because when you're leveling up the I guess, program that helps you run the business, sometimes you need to change the way you operate when you're adopting new tools and features. So it's getting them to also wrap their head around, okay, now what needs to change internally because this thing is different. So it's helping them with that stuff too.
You're
and
like
then in the
almost
evening times,
like a business coach in a sense. You're coaching them a little bit in their business, right?
What's cool is that, you know, I have the experience. So, right, like I've run a pest control company. So when I'm talking to these owners, like, I hear you. Like, I was there. I used to do it this way, but I do it this way now. And this is why. And this is what, you know, you can expect to happen if you implement this strategy or use this tool. And so it's easier. It makes it easier for them to make the changes because especially the guys that are just starting out and haven't been comfortable relinquishing control, they're adverse to change, especially when it comes to technology or something that they're not comfortable with. So, you know, I'm able to speak their lingo, you know, and make them really comfortable and understand. So it's been cool. You know, it's different than talking to someone that doesn't own a business or run a business. Right. So it's been really cool. And then in the evening time, I've been working on retooling my current business a bit. And, you know, I'll do a bunch of stuff for my company, and then I'll have like a meeting with my staff and go over how the changes are going with them. And then we'll make tweaks. But really, they're doing a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm setting them up, and then I'm giving it to them, and then we're implementing, and then we're refining and making the new way the way. And it's been exciting for everybody, you know. Because now, I was an owner that was essentially absent for a while. You know, I had my monthly meetings with them, and I would check in every now and then, but I wasn't around. So it's nice to be back around again.
Yeah.
My team is still really happy, and they love it here, and they're great. But as an owner, you have doubts, and you worry all the time. So being present with GorillaDesk and in the pest control company has really been great for me.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a point, like I've asked my other business owner friends this, is there a point where you don't ever like worry about it or think about it when you own a business?
I don't know. I think it depends on the person. Like I have a lot of empathy and I care a lot about how people think and feel, especially my people. So that may never go away, but it becomes easier as you become more confident in how you know people are thinking and feeling. So I don't know, probably not, right? You're always going to worry. There's a lot of risk, right? There's a lot on the line. And if you're not worrying, you either have like an amazing organization and systems and you have people that are doing everything, or you're just a worry bug maybe, or there's risk that you haven't really dealt with yet to make sure that it's like there's like a foolproof thing there.
Yeah.
But I feel like me personally, I'll always worry a little bit.
I think I always do too.
Yeah. I think it's healthy. You know, it's a flag. It's like if you're worrying about a thing, maybe it needs attention. And you give it attention, then you realize, oh, I shouldn't have been worrying about this. Then the worry goes away for a bit until you start worrying about something else that you feel like might need attention. So I don't ignore it. You know, I'm aware. I don't over worry. I mean, I've been at it a long time now. So I used to worry a lot in the beginning because it was a mess. I had to fix everything and build all the systems and set up my people to do what they needed to do efficiently and make sure that they could get through their day to day and not feel burnt out.
Yeah, that's good, man. It sounds like you built a really solid team there.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I mean, but I also went through a lot of really bad apples. That's part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of almost like you can vet people as much as you want in the beginning, but until they start performing and show you what they're capable of doing, you're not going to really know.
It's very true. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. I've got a pretty good system now for like recruiting talent that has really helped me like get higher quality talent. And so now the team is, I have the same thing. The team runs really, really well. And it's awesome once you get there. It's really hard to get there though.
Yeah.
But once you get there, it's like, oh man, this is the way. I never want to do it another way ever again.
You get better, right? Hiring, like it's a skill that you need to practice. And even then, like it may not always work out, but you get better at identifying what are the things that you can't train people up on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and what personality traits you're looking for.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, for the guys that are struggling with like what you mentioned earlier, like relinquishing control and like hiring their first technician to go out and help them. When I did it, I trained that person forever. I think my first employee was riding with me for like 6 months before I let them out on their own.
Okay.
And that was how I felt, right? I was like, I need you to know and do everything exactly how I do it.
Yep.
And I've changed that, but it was important to me, right?
Yeah. How many techs do you have out right now?
Right now I have 3 full-time technicians, 1 part-time technician. I have 2 full-time stateside admin, 1 part-time GM who's like a longtime friend of the family. She handles my books and insurance, like all of that stuff. And then we have 1 VA in the Philippines that assists my stateside admin doing all the lower level admin tasks that my main girls can focus on, like the scheduling and sales, like revenue generating activities.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
It's a little team, do just over $1 million, but
that's awesome.
Goal is 3, and I have a plan to get there, and I'm literally starting it now. So check in with me in a year and see how far along I am. But that's the next goal.
No, I love that. Yeah, pushing from, but it's great to find those levels that you can. I'm ready to push this level, ready to push to that level, and yeah, and the obstacles that you have to power through to get there. Because what got you here isn't necessarily what's going to get you there.
I know. I've heard and said that so many times, but it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. You have to evolve. You have to,
yeah, and I think I don't know, yeah, you have to evolve, and change is difficult for everyone. And so you just got to embrace it and run for it, and just know, like for me, the actual changing part like used to really bother me. It doesn't really bother me anymore.
It's exciting for me now because I know what can happen. Like I know what we're capable of doing. And
I'm more excited of the output of like, I'm so excited for the result of what's going to happen that I'm willing to do whatever change that I need to do to get to that result.
Yeah. And what's cool is that a lot of people have already done it. So it's not like we're reinventing the wheel here. We just need to kind of implement what's been successful for the companies that are doing a good job at those things, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And that's where jumping on a Facebook group or a mastermind group can really help you get you plugged in and going quicker. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, dude, it's been great having you on the show, getting to know your story a little bit and kind of hearing how you've built a business and evolving and changing and growing. And I didn't know all the GorillaDesk stuff beforehand. And I think it's really cool that you and your brother are taking that on. And that's a giant project that sounds like a lot of fun too.
Yeah. My parents, I'm sure, had zero clue what we were going to end up doing with it when they passed it on. But I'm really glad that they took the risk to start it, because it ended up turning into how my brother and I provide for ourselves and our team now. And, you know, thankfully we have technology that my parents didn't have access to then to make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
But man, it's been great. You know, I never thought, I was like, growing up, I was like, I'm not going to do pest control for the rest of my life. And that's kind of how a lot of people view it, right? They end up falling into it, right? Yeah. The other service industries, they end up falling into it. Or their parents were doing it and they were like, I'm never going to do it. And then they explore other things and they're like, you know what, let me go make money because I know how to make money here. And then they start seeing potential and they're like, okay, you know what, let me stick with this. Let me see if I can grow it. And that's kind of how it happens. You know, it's very rare that like a kid is born and he's like, I want to kill bugs for a living. You know, I can't wait until I'm old enough.
Yeah. I have 2 teenage daughters, and I always offer them as like, hey, do you want to help me with this project for the company or whatever? And they're like, no. And I don't want to be whatever. No. And I'm like, all right. And then my oldest daughter now has come on 2 different events with me. And every time she's like, that was actually kind of fun. And I'm like, it is fun, you know? And so I'm hoping that my girls will also follow in my entrepreneurial path.
You never know.
And maybe it's not my business, maybe it's their own. But I think owning your own business is a thing that we have in the United States that is not as it's easier to obtain it here than in other parts of the world. And we have opportunities in front of us here that you don't have in other parts of the world. So I hope that my daughters will pursue their dreams and love their life and secretly deep down inside, not so secretly, I hope that they become entrepreneurial and start their own businesses. I do. I really do, because I think it's a really good thing for people.
My brother and I joke sometimes that we both have identified that we're not employable. It's very difficult for us to work in an organization where my biggest problem is with every job that I've ever had, there's always friction around me seeing a better way or more efficient way to do a thing, but I'm being required to do it in a way that does not make sense to me. And then I'm like resistant. And that doesn't work when you're an employee somewhere where you have to do what they're telling you to do. So, and I had issues with that, like in every single job that I had. So I am very comfortable in the position I'm in, but I'm also cognizant of like making sure that my employees don't feel the way I felt when I was an employee, right? Like I'm trying to make sure that, they are happy and that everything makes sense to them and is simple and there's no confusion. So yeah, I'm not employable though.
I don't think I haven't worked for anybody in 20 something years. I don't think I could go back to working for somebody again. I just I don't think I'm employable either. I would hate my life, and I think they would hate me. Like
it's much better this way though. Be your own boss, guys. Figure it out. Figure out how to be your own boss.
Yeah.
And just keep working at it. Keep friggin' working at it. It's worth it.
It's really hard work in the beginning, but I think it's worth it. It pays off at the end. Yeah.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
It is brutal, man.
Brutal is worth it.
All right, man. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, they're like, they have questions about GorillaDesk, or they have questions about your company, how you got it running the way they do, or anything like that. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Email me at chad@GorillaDesk.com.
Chad@GorillaDesk.com.
You can find me on Facebook. You can add me on Facebook. We can be Facebook friends. But chad@GorillaDesk.com is the easiest direct way to hit me up.
That's awesome, man. Dude, well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I can't wait to follow up with you in a little while and see if you hit that mark that you're aiming for.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.